Hey, we're back here in Baseball University. We got a new analysis here on Esteban. Esteban is an eighth grader. Kind of profiles as a late bloomer physicality wise. He's still probably in that seventh grade, seventh grade body, still waiting to come into his growth spurt. Good idea at the plate. A little lungy in his swing. We'll start taking a look at a couple of his. He's like a lot of the other, kids that we're coaching right now who at this age he probably shows up to the cages, to the practices, the off-season workouts more than any other player, but he's like a lot of the other players where you're trying to push them to have more purpose in their workouts now. Like, think about what you're doing when you come in and get extra swings or you're there throwing in the off-season. On this particular day, he was kind of out and around on a lot of his swings. We'll take a look at a couple here. Slow it down a bit. So the first thing I noticed about his swing was he's drifty. There's not a lot of athletic tension in the swing right now. You can see very quiet setup. It's square. Bat's a little low. Where's that knob pointing? A lot of times, and I've said this before, you want that knob pointing back at that catcher's mitt, getting some tension in those forearms. Here's the stride. Now look, it's like kind of a no stride swing, but there's no recoil of the front hip here. That front hip, you got to turn and show that back pocket a little bit, get a little bit of tension, start barring that back leg. And then right here, you can kind of see all the weight is coming down here on that foot and bringing that soft front. And with that, you're heaving the bat through. Okay, we need to get those hands higher up in the swing. So again, here we go. You want that barrel to be coming down off of that shoulder, and watch where that barrel goes. We go down, 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 and then we heave it through. And then your good idea of a swing comes in right about here, where you do try to bring that hip through. You are trying to buck a little bit on the front hip or the front knee. But again, until you get more athleticism, athletic tension in that swing, you're not going to get a very explosive result. So the one thing I noticed too is watch as this bat comes all the way back and brings you to your heel. It's another sign that bat is way too heavy. We're swinging these -3s and -5s in middle school, and some of our 6th and 7th and less developed athletically players, good players, good ideas, but still growing, they have a hard time with that bat. So again, we see that bat come all the way through and comes back to that heel. So, overall, there's definitely some work to be done here, but there's an idea, and that's step one. All right, so again, we're going to take a look at this swing and a miss here. The ball is outside and low, so a lot of kids are still struggling with hitting that outside corner, realizing that you have to keep that backside bar, keep that weight back, keep yourself centered, and allow that ball to travel to the back side of the plate where you can just bring the barrel to it. Because again, you want to try to keep that barrel, as they say, those hands behind the barrel behind the hands, I should say. Sorry. Keeping the barrel behind the hands. And when the ball is passing here, this is a good example of being out and around the baseball. Okay? So the first thing I'd recommend with this swing is to get a more athletic stance. So again, here's our setup. I would get those hands high, get some bat flexion going. Spread out a little bit too, because I think you either need some stride or if you're going to go no stride, you need to lengthen a little bit, because again, we're opening up way too early. The weight is just completely off the back leg here, and the ball hasn't even arrived. So again, we look at the result. They're out and around the baseball. Like, that bat barrel doesn't really enter the zone until right now, and it's out real quick. When you see hitters, sometimes they'll say they keep the barrel through the zone. This bat barrel is out and across the zone. very quickly. And we're going to take a look at some professional swings here. The first one I wanted to show you is George Springer. Simple setup, kind of, thin, narrow setup. But again, watch what he's doing with his hands and his leg, his front leg in particular, to get himself into a good swing position. Is that leg cock. You can see he's pointing that back pocket towards that pitcher a little bit. You can see the lines on the pants. That knee is cocked in a bit. The hands, again, there's that knob of the bat pointing back at the catcher's mitt. There's going to be a little bit more flexion in the bat right here. The bat stays high. So again, if we go back to look at your swing, watch where you drop that those hands right before you swing and heave them through. We take a look at Springer coming through. Right down off that. Oh, run out of battery here. Let me fix that up. But his bat's coming right down off that shoulder. And this is what we say about staying in the zone. So the bat is entering the zone right about here. Stays through and then good extension. So if that ball is on the outside part of the plate, he can let that ball travel because he gets his bat into the zone early and then through the zone. He's still through the zone right here. Then he follows through that good extension. He doesn't let that bat, he doesn't have to heave that bat through. He's a strong man. A lot of our young kids are still trying to learn how to handle a bigger bat. Again, I think what you can take away from this, watching someone like George Springer swing the bat, is again the athletic tension. Like, look at that. That's like we practice what we call big donkeys in practice sometimes. We do an over-exaggerated leg cock and cock with the hands as well. And just teaching kids like, hey, it doesn't have to be this ridiculous, but do something. Get some athletic tension going so you can uncoil. When he drops that heel, heads down, knees buckling. Watch him still. This is where Esteban's swing is a little different. Like, that weight is still distributed. It's still on that back leg and then pushes through right there. And if we looked again at Esteban's swing, the like right there, you can see all the weight is off that back leg already. So when he goes to swing, there it goes, all of it's gone right there. He still has an idea of how to load, but there's no push. There's nothing left to push with on that back side. Look at one more swing here. We have Nelson Cruz. This I'm just showing you an example of, like, when you are going to stay narrow, you have to be extremely strong and still allow your hips to clear. So we're going to watch Nelson Cruz here. He has no stride, kind of like you're doing, just a little bit of a lift and go. But he's still cocking that leg, still cocking those hands, has that athletic tension. He's turning that hip and keeping everything barred on that back leg. There's the swing. He's still distributing his power. His head's staying still. Not a huge stride, but he's still staying on that point of rotation. Centrifugal force is what they call it. And then it's through that baseball. Good extension. So again, we look at the bat path too. Even though he's narrow, bat enters the zone here. He's through. Let's watch his extension. So he's not across the ball. He's through the baseball. So, I hope that helps, Esteban, who is probably our hardest worker. He should be a productive player this year. He's going to have to fight for playing time, as there's definitely some kids with more physicality, but he can play a lot of positions. He knows the game fairly well. But we can see there's a need for bat speed here, so lighten up the bat, choke up a little bit, swing a -5, get those hands cocked, right? Because there's potential. I see the swing trying to work. You can tell he's a baseball player, but cutting across the baseball, that's what happens when you're having trouble staying through the zone. A lot of pop-ups. A little better here. Again, still see the weight there. It goes. He's heaving the hands, dropping them, but he does try to buckle, does try to fly through, hand over hand, heads down on the ball. There's an idea that swing would be working better if he had a lighter bat, because you can see that weight takes him back to the heel. So, all right, well, that's Esteban's swing analysis. We got a few more we're trying to get done today. Baseball season starts in a little less than a month for us. February 11th is our tryout date. So, Coach Cook signing out.